Hello everyone, my name is Grace Chun, and I'm the Regional Director of the Orange County Creative Writing Back to Bach Division. For today's lesson, we'll be talking about the four most common types of plot and how to write stories in that format. Let's start by talking about the hero's journey, a common plot structure in many stories.
Hi, my name is Ashley Kim, and I will introduce you to the hero's journey. Hero's journey is a storytelling structure in which the protagonist leaves their familiar world, goes through transformations and challenges in a new unfamiliar realm, and ultimately returns to their home to share the wisdom and teachings learned that benefits themselves or their community. With 12 main steps, the hero's journey is categorized into three key stages. 1. Departure, 2. Initiation, and 3. Return. During departure, the main character is introduced in their ordinary world. Their normal, everyday life is shown, until a call to action finds our protagonist. This is called the call to venture. The hero receives a demand for change or something that disrupts their ordinary world. Then comes the refusal of the call, in which he or she is hesitant to accept the call, even afraid, until the hero meets a mentor, a wise guide who offers training or advice. Meeting the mentor, the hero steps into the crossing of the threshold where the hero leaves their ordinary world and finally enters a new special world to start their journey. Next step is initiation. This is the middle part. All the hero goodiness, sidekicks, and allies comes from this stage. The hero earns tests, allies, and enemies, learning who to trust and who to not with a series of challenges where he or she is tested. The journey continues, and the hero approaches to the inmost cave, getting closer and closer to the heart of the story, the biggest test. The hero then faces their biggest fear, an emotional ordeal, even a death that leads them to come face to face with the biggest challenge. Now, with the boss gone, the hero receives a reward, gaining knowledge, treasure, or a benefit of some sort. Then, our last stage is return. The protagonist makes a decision to return to the ordinary world, the road back, facing new obstacles and challenges along the way with their awakened reward. During this journey back, the hero faces a final challenge, the resurrection, that demonstrates their inner change they've achieved. The final step, return with the elixir, shows the hero returning to the ordinary world with their new reward or knowledge that benefits their community. Authors often use the hero's journey because it reflects on a pattern of universal struggle. It also helps the writer organize plot and develop characters with clear structure. Some examples of the hero's journey are The Hunger Games and The Lightning Thief from the Percy Jackson series. If you like the clean structure of the hero's journey, here is a writing challenge for you today. Imagine you're living in a completely ordinary day when you're suddenly given a quest you definitely didn't ask for. What is your call to adventure, reaction, and who becomes your mentor as you begin your journey? Now that you've learned about the hero's journey, let's move on to the Freytag's pyramid.
Hello everyone, my name is Joshua and I'll be talking about Freytag's Pyramid. Freytag's Pyramid is a lot friendlier than it sounds, and you probably already know it pretty well. That's right, it's just a plot diagram we're all used to seeing in English. There are a couple of different segments in this pyramid. There's exposition, inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. I'll be explaining all of these to you, so let's dive right in. We all know how this story starts. The exposition. The exposition is setup. You're showing the reader what an average day in your story looks like before the plot comes and messes it all up. You're also introducing them to the world your story is set in, the most important characters, and their motivations. Next up is the inciting incident. This is an event that forces your character to go on the adventures you have planned for them. After that, there's the rising action, which makes up the main bulk of your story, where you put your character through all the adventures you have planned for them, and slowly ratchet up the tension in the lead up to the climax. The climax is the point of no return for the character. They're in the thick of the conflict now, and they are left with no choice but to push through the hardships you prepared for them. This is the part of the story where the heroes come face to face with the main antagonist of the story, whether it's man, beast, nature, or otherwise, and they have their final confrontation with them. Now, we've got the falling action. This is the very tail end of the story, and is where the heroes deal with the fallout of their climax, coming to terms with winning or losing against the big bad, resting after the final battle, and returning home in triumph or in shame. The resolution is simply the ending of the story, where all the plot threads are collected and tied up to bring the story to a satisfying conclusion. You'll be able to identify these steps in probably every story you read or watch. And while it might seem boring just to copy the same story structure over and over again, what it actually does is give you a framework for your story so that you can focus more on the cool, fun stuff you want to write about, rather than the basic, boring foundation of your story structure. It also allows you to play around with and manipulate the plot so you can surprise your reader. A really good example of Freytag's Pyramid is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. You have Bilbo in the Shire living his best life. That's the exposition. Then you have the dwarves and Gandalf arriving at his house and bringing him along to defeat Smaug. There is the inciting incident, and then you have his whole journey to the Misty Mountains as your rising action. The climax would be the Battle of Five Armies, when the consequences of the slaying of Smaug mean that the world is forever changed. The falling action would be that everything that happens after that, saying goodbye to Thorin, traveling back to the Shire, and the resolution would just be Bilbo returning to Bag End. So, knowing this, here's our prompt for you. The inciting incident of a story is 3 people discovering 6 strange stones, and the resolution is that these strange stones are returned to where they were found and the characters go home. What are the stones? Who are the characters? And how do these stones take the characters on a journey both physically and emotionally? That's for you to decide. With what you've learned here, create brief descriptions of every step of the pyramid, explaining what's going on in the story and what it leads to. Good luck and happy writing. Now though, let's move on to the 3-act structure.